Hey guys, welcome to today's Hot Bite Fishing Report. Super warm weather, but we're up north. We've got good fish going, 4 great reports. First, we're starting out way south in Huron to Vermilion in the Lake Erie Shores and Islands region for some awesome trolling. Lake Erie's wide open. Then we head up to Portage Lake in Manistee County for walleye and perch mixed bag. Then we go all the way up over the bridge to Dan's on the shores of Munuscong Bay in the Sault Ste. Marie region. We got really good hot perch action going there. We come back across the bridge, talk to you about Cheboygan and Mullet Lake. They got good safe ice. They've also got lots of mixed bag fish coming in, walleye, perch, pike, you name it. Stay tuned for this week's Hot Bites Fishing Report. So guys, this has been the screwiest winter ever, so we're going to talk to you about trolling. That's right, early February trolling out of Huron, Ohio. Basically, the entire Lake Erie Shores and Islands region is wide open. The ramps are open, there's almost no ice. I'm seeing consistent reporting from guys from Port Clinton all the way to Cleveland that are going out and whacking big females, pretty much playing the catch and release game, and then keeping a group of some smaller eater fish. So how are they doing it? Well, right now we've got an awesome report out of Huron trolling east towards Vermilion that says that they're out in 35 to 45 feet of water. Just awesome marks in 35 to 45 feet of water, trolling super slow, 1.0 to 1.4 with P10s. Now, gold or natural colors has been the best, and they've been snap weighting those fish, letting out about 25 to 35 after you put the snap weight on. So what I mean by that, guys, is let out about 15-20 foot of line on a P10, then put your 2-ounce snap weight on and let it out another 25 to 35. That's getting you right down into the fish zone. They were just catching them hand over fist there out of Huron, and my reporter says that these have been awesome fish. A lot of 4s and 5s, and then an equivalently lot of 8 to 10s. Just an awesome fishing going on right now out of the Erie Shores and Islands region. So thanks always, as always, the boat basin. If you're looking, where do you want to put your boat in? The Huron boat basin, the ramp right across from it, right there, the main ramp in Huron has been pretty full on the weekends because of this unusual weather. That's a great spot to go. You can go right out the harbor mouth. It's a short little drive. I mean, not more than a quarter mile from the boat ramp to the open water past the pier head. And then you really just have to fish either the dumping grounds and head east, or you can go and fish the north and east side of the dumping grounds. That's been a hot area, or basically that 35 to 45 foot of water just east all the way to Vermilion. The fish are streaming in from from the east to the west, and so it's basically reloading all the time. You don't have to sit and search for fish very hard. But right now, take advantage of historic trolling there in Lake Erie Shores and Islands region.
Every fishing boat needs a place to put rods, store rods, and have rod haulers to go fishing, and the Angler Qwest Family Fish has that in spades. I'm Captain Lance Valentine, and here on the Family Fish, I'm going to show you the integrated arch. We've got the ability to put up to 5 adjustable Traxstech rod holders on each side so we can run offshore planer boards. We've got rod storage across the top, the ability to put in lights, radar, VHF radio antennas, and any accessories we need to turn this Family Fish into a hardcore fishing boat. Check out this and all the other great features on Angler Qwest at your local Angler Qwest dealer.
So stop number 2, Portage Lake up in Manistee County. It's got solid ice, believe it or not. Now, I wouldn't be taking any trucks out there, and I wouldn't get too close to the channel. I'd stay on the mid to east side of the lake, because the closer you get to the currents of the channel, the more iffy that ice is going to become. So be careful, as always, whenever you're ice fishing with moderate temperatures. But Portage Lake right now, good perch fishing going on that eastern end, basically out from the city boat launch in Onekama, and then straight out, and then that whole eastern shore across to the marina. That's the area that they're catching the perch in. Now, they're catching them in 14 to 25 foot. Now, there's a slow roll from the east shore. Once you get to 14, it's just a slow decline out to 25. So the fish are moving around in that area if you're looking for a band of depth to begin your search. Now, perch are always classic, roamers. They're going to roam around. Don't think if you set up and you catch a bunch and then they quit. You have 2 options, sit and wait them out or move. And it's really a 6 of one, half dozen of another, because another group could come right in behind them a half an hour later and you'd be in the right spot. So what I'd suggest is going with a group of guys and staggering and spreading them out, some guys in 14, some in 16, some in 18, and just kind of keep tabs with each other, either via text or calling each other to see who's doing the best, and then you can hone in on the best fishing. Now, what are they using? They're setting up big spreads of tip-ups with super small perch minnows. And again, we've talked about rigging these. Number 12 treble hook, or even a single gold hook. An Aberdeen hook can also be something that guys use when they're perch fishing. Dead sticking, if you're going to have a dead stick next to you, a dead stick just off the bottom, maybe 6 inches off the bottom, and move it infrequently. Also, do jiggers with either a perch eye or the head of a small minnow on can be really good. Remember to impact the bottom frequently when you're jigging. That draws the perch in. They're curious, they'll come in, they'll suck on it. But one thing about perch fishing, don't over move the bait. You want to move it to get their attention, and then sometimes the tip-up dead stick method is best. Move it a little bit, set it down, just let it lay and watch your rod tip, because perch will classically come and load it up and just pull a little bit. And too much activity sometimes stops perch from biting. So, where to go and stay? Right there in Onekama, the Portage Lake Motel, right there across from the boat launch access, is a great spot. They're open year-round. They got comfy little rooms. They're not overpriced. I've known the guy there for years. He does a great job, and he really caters to fishermen. If you're looking for a place to get your live bait and minnows, if you don't get it there in Onekama, stop right on your way through Manistee on your way to Portage Lake at Tangled Tackle. Bud and the boys at Tangled Tackle will take care of you. They got great minnows. They got great selection of all your ice fishing needs. They can take care of you. If you're also looking for a river adventure, Michael Tilmann, my friend Captain Michael Tilmann, has got his riverboat in, and he's doing steelheading, and he lives literally right where his place is right on some of the best native spawning runs that the Manistee River has to offer. You can also call, of course, Cap Malix, our moderator for the fishing reports. He's out on the river weekly, and he's looking forward to open water season coming too. And last, when you're heading into town and out of town, Chapo's Northside Bar, right there on the main drag, right close to Tangled Tackle. My friend there has an awesome burger, awesome sandwiches, great little environment, great place to eat. If you're done ice fishing and ready to go, but you got that hankering to eat something, stop in at Chapo's, tell them we sent you. But whatever you do, get out on Portage Lake. We don't know how long this ice is going to last. I mean, we got such moderate temperatures, but right now they got safe ice on the east end of Portage Lake. Hey, are you in the market for a small outdoor shed, carport, or small storage building? Visit my friends up at Midwest Steel Carports. They'll travel anywhere in the Lower Peninsula to install your shed or carport for you. Visit them online at MidwestSteelCarports.com. So, stop number 3, we crossed the bridge. We're going right back up to Munuscong Bay and visiting with Dan up there at, well, it's not Dan, it's Dan's Resort, but we're visiting with the folks up at Dan's Resort, and they tell us that the perch around the islands and weed edges are starting to really fire good. Now, walleye's been a little bit slow so far this year, but the guys are making up for it with some awesome catches of perch. So, where? Again, right around the islands and right on weed edges. Now, there's really no deep water in Munuscong Bay, so you really want to find those critical spots where it goes from really weedy and starts to thin out. That transition point between last year's weeds and no weeds at all can be a great spot where perch will come in and they'll move those edges. Also, of course, the islands on a yearly basis are a great spot to fish, or tops of gravel humps can also hold lots of perch coming in and out, and also your chances of getting a walleye there are probably a lot better. Same thing, basically, up on Munuscong Bay is on Portage Lake. We're talking about dead sticking, we're talking about dew jiggers and minnows, we're talking about setting some tip-ups in the deeper water around like that 4, 5, 6 foot of water outside the edges if you want to get those random marauding pike and walleye. But basically, right now, Munuscong Bay is the place to go. Now, if you're going to go up and fish the rapids, because John Giuliani from Sault Ste. Marie tells me that they are consistently still fishing those rapids because of the mild temperatures, you can pull in and stay at the Budget Host Crest View. My friend Tony has got rooms right there in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, right on the main drag, headed towards the access point in the rapids. And they have wonderful price rooms there at Budget Host Crest View. Also, my friend Kenny Smedzinski calls and says that with this moderate temperature, he's going to be on the water early for real in time sport fishing charters up there in Sault Ste. Marie. So get him a call, get on his early books to make sure you can get out and experience the great fishing that is Sault Ste. Marie. But right now, it seems like the only bite to talk about is Munuscong Bay perch fishing out of Dan's Resort.
Hi, Jeff Miller here with Traxstech, just kind of showing you another one of our newly introduced hybrid series. We're doing the cradle and a tube style this year, and so this is our lift and turn version in the tube style. This unit right now we're showing it clamped. This is on a pontoon rail actually, so we're just showing how our clamp works. We've shown it in other previous videos with round rails. This is showing it on a square rail. So this rod holder is an all machine base on here, molded components in the top, slid onto a solid 1-inch diameter hub in the middle of aluminum, so real nice and strong and robust. This is our squeeze button system here for adjusting this tube up and down, so we can point the rod holder or the rod tip anywhere we want while we're fishing. And then we have all of our teeth machined in here, and we lift and turn the rotation out of this so we can adjust that fishing rod anywhere we want it to go. So real quick and easy adjustability out of this thing. The hybrid series with the aluminum and the plastic molded together helps keep our costs down, but still provides us a really adjustable setup for almost anything we're going to try and accomplish. Not suggesting these are not made for our salmon fishing, but these are really made for our walleye applications. A lot of our guys using them in our panfish, our striper markets, some of that type of stuff where, you know, we're not having heavy duty baits pulling and stressing and fatiguing. That's the only thing that stresses plastic material out, is stressing and fatiguing, is pulling heavy baits over a long period of time. That's why we went to an aluminum base on here to try and really help get that out of there and make a stronger part for you. So appreciate it. Look us up at traxstech.com.
So we're ending the day, and Mark Martin had his ice fishing school up in the Cheboygan area on Mullet Lake last week, and I watched the pictures come in, and it looks like the boys really found some decent fish. Now, Mullet Lake has always been a sleeper for good fish. A lot of people think mullet's hard to fish, and it is, because it's a clean lake, and it's a big lake. It's got all kinds of places for fish to hide. But boy, when you locate them, and we're going to help you today locate them, that's when you can really put some nice fish in the bucket, because there's 12-inch perch there are normal. Nice size walleye, 4, 5, 6 pounders are not abnormal at all, and sled northerns. Of course, in the soft water in the summer, it is smallmouth bass factory in heaven. But it's also got a good catchable population of steelhead, and we see a little later in February, we're going to come back to you and talk about that ice steelhead bite that they get late in the season as those fish are cruising right under the ice. But today, perch, walleye, and northern pike mixed bag. So how are they doing it? Well, they're setting up, they're putting their shacks on U or V-shaped point structures where you have a top flat where it tumbles off into deep water pretty quickly. That seems to be the spot where you want to set yourself up. Those fish are staging deep, coming up in the mornings and the evenings out of the deeper water, and you want to be right at those critical spots, right at either the top of the roll or the tip of the point, and catching those fish before they're able to get up on the point and spread out where they become much harder to locate. So how are they doing it? It's all the same, guys. Whenever you're going to go fishing on ice, a guy should always have a 5-gallon bucket or 2 of tip-ups, a legal amount for each guy. Tip-ups are some of the most effective ways to catch pike, walleye, and perch, just by changing out hook size and the type of leader you're using. I've seen more and more very good perch fishermen using tip-ups as a way to really up their catch throughout the day. Put another 4 or 5, 6 really big perch in by using the number 12 size treble or a number 2 or 4 gold Aberdeen hook, and live hook the minnow right behind the back dorsal fin, the upper dorsal fin, to keep them alive. Just lightly hook them, and then have that tip-up set very light too. That's one of the other tips. Make sure you adjust your tip-up to a perch. Perch isn't as big as a walleye or a northern, so that tip-up has to be set a lot lighter so that they don't pull your minnow off and pull the minnow off the hook while they're trying to get away with your bait. You want that flag to go up easily. So again, 6 inches off the bottom to a foot off the bottom seems to be right for perch and walleye. If I'm perch fishing, I'm going to be tighter. I'm going to be 4 to 6 inches. If I'm walleye fishing with a bigger minnow, I might be up a foot. But if you're targeting perch, get right down there on the bottom, get close, and let that minnow struggle. And so, again, jigging wraps is another really good way to catch fish here during the winter time. This particular lake, jigging wraps works great. We've talked in past reports about the right way and the wrong way to jig and wrap fish, but just quickly, couple of tips. Drop a jig and wrap all the way to the bottom. Let it hit bottom. Let it make a silk cloud. Then go ahead and tighten your line up, and then you're going to want to draw that up about 2 or 3 inches so that at rest, that wrap is off the bottom 3 or so inches. Then you can pound jig that down to create more silt, and you can also not rip it, but just lift it and slack line drop it so that it spins down and acts as an attractant. Most of your hits are going to come at rest or once you pound it to the bottom. A lot of times that will trigger fish to come in and literally pin that jig and wrap to the bottom, or as you're slowly picking it up, they're just going to crash it. So the up and down drop is more of an attractor motion. That's not where your strikes are going to come, but don't be afraid to do that once every minute or so, along with the more subtle 3-inch drop, pound and lift. But jig and wraps have been good. On a clean lake like Mullet, you're going to want to concentrate on either like Fire Tiger, natural color like a white with a black top, or the old standby, which is a goldie with a black top. Those natural colors on clean lakes seem to do really good. But right now is go time, and they've got safe ice up on Mullet Lake. We'll see you out there. But one little word of caution. Again, we talked about it on Portage Lake. Mullet Lake is a current-fed lake. There's a river flowing out of it. There's a river flowing into it from the Indian River and then flowing out into Lake Huron. Guys, whenever you're on a lake that has multiple points of entry and exit, you've got currents. So don't just think because you're sitting off the state park in 10 inches of ice that you can drive your snowmobile, you know, just unabashedly out another mile or so to go hunt a different spot. You could be driving right into oblivion there. You've got to always be careful, stop, spud around, make sure you've got good solid ice because currents would eat away ice very quickly. Word of caution to the wise is sufficient. Hey, we'll see you out there ice fishing somewhere this week. Hey guys, thanks for joining us on this week's Hot Bites Fishing Report. Again, we've talked about it. If you watch social media, we've seen trucks go in at Little Badenoch. We see trucks going in at Houghton Lake. Just because there's safe ice where you're sitting doesn't mean there's safe ice everywhere around you. So be really cautious. This is one of these mild winters where we're not getting that 12, 18 inches of good, solid, built-up, clean, clear ice where, you know, there's all kinds of leeway for you to move around. Be cautious, be careful. But most of all, get out there, have some fun fishing this week, and we'll see you next week on the Hot Bites Fishing Report.